Hey world, remember last week's pattern with the really fun contour bust shaping? Well, um, since I'm not feeling terribly inspired to make a corset pattern this week, I am going to do a dress pattern, and it's this one here, based off of the shape of the contour pattern I made last week that I really, really like. And I think I'm definitely going to have to try it out just to see how well this curve fits. Um, but I'll cross that bridge, like next week. Okay, so the first thing I did, I placed these patterns over top of my normal contour or my normal torso blocks, just to get a feel for like the length and where to put certain curves and things like that. Also because I'm going to want this pattern piece on the front and back to make the hip insert that happens here. So first thing, the dress needs to be very long. So I found a formula based on height of the person, and so I did like 67 inches because like think average woman 5'4" plus 3-inch heels in this kind of a dress. And so I got a length of about 42 inches. So that's what the black lines here are for. And so to start, I'm just going to take our original patterns and grab the anchor points at the bottom and just shift them down and see if I like the shape that happens. I think I do. Yeah, it leaves us a nice flare, nice gradual flare that goes all the way down. I like that. Okay, again, same thing here. Grabbing my anchors and just bringing it down, straight down. If you hold shift, it'll go straight down. So I like that as well. We will have to do, we'll have to walk these pattern pieces just to make sure that they actually match. But for now, these look okay. Do this back here. Let's grab that and go straight down again. This is one of my favorite things about Adobe Illustrator is that you can grab two anchor points and just like move them both at the exact same time. I find it super handy for things like this. Okay, so now we've got our basic panels, which are really hard to see because they're huge. They would be very large patterns. First, well, the next thing I'm going to do, so this has this interesting lapel shape that happens here. And so I'm going to draw over our front pattern with the pen tool in that shape. I also want to scoot that over. Here we go. And so, pen tool. So I'm going to just draw what I think it'll look like on this pattern piece. And so that, to me, comes down from this anchor and then almost like that. It's pretty close to what I think the shape would be. So now I'm going to reflect this, transform, reflect. Let's do it horizontal. No, vertical. Yeah, no, vertical is fine. Okay, so we're going to copy that just to see. And I'm going to place this here and rotate it just to get our shape. Grab that anchor. So this is what's going to be built up on top of our pattern piece. Although it doesn't look terribly big. The fold line would be across here. It doesn't seem like it would fold very much. And I'm wondering even if it would be a little too exposed. So what I'm going to do, we're just going to square this off. So if you square off the front pattern, then it'll fold from this corner to the center front. And I think it'll be a much more dramatic lapel that goes on here. I think The string, the little bow that's tied here is totally just, it's non-functional. It's just a bow to make it look pretty, so we're not even going to worry about that. And then, of course, leaving our base pattern on our torso block helps us figure out the length that we would need for our spaghetti straps. So it's a good guide to have all these things still here while I'm working on this pattern. Okay, so now I want to get rid of the sweetheart shape there. And then I'm going to click, drag, join. And then I can see that these anchors are a little bit goofy. Let's see, what is that anchor? Get out of there. Okay. So we'll do that there. And yeah, so basically, there's an invisible line that exists from here to wherever that anchor is. I want to connect them, but I need to find where I put it. There we go. There-ish. And this is a fold line. And so a lot of times when you buy store-bought patterns, they'll have your fold lines marked. I'm just going to make it a dash line, so that would be your fold. Cool beans. Let's see, what would be next for this one? Well, we could figure out the length of the spaghetti straps, which probably would happen not quite shoulder tip, because shoulder tip they'd fall off. I mean, if you way out here, this sleeve looks like it almost goes. No, that's mid shoulder. So we could put a guideline here and then rotate it until about mid shoulder. Again, a lot of the things that I do completely arbitrary. Oh, you know what, actually? Let's do it to the length of this back dart. So if I grab this piece and line it up to the corner of our front, if it'll go, sometimes it doesn't like to. Sometimes I have to get really close to see them overlap. There we go. Hit rotate. I was pretty close. So we want our guideline to go there. And then let's rotate it from the point on the shoulder to where it would match at about the center of the bust. And so the length that we need would be, I guess let's walk this pattern. I'm walking this along the guideline that I drew just to get the right length for our spaghetti strap. If it would snap, that would be nice. Of course, it's not going to snap unless I zoom way in. Okay, so now if we draw from here to there without connecting them, and then I accidentally connected it to this, which is fine. I'm going to just subtract that and then get rid of that guide. And now I can move this pattern back to where it lives. So I'm gonna, how do I want to do that? Yeah, we'll just grab the waist anchor, match it up to our waist dart, zoom way back out, hit R, rotate from here, and pretty much back to where it was. Okay. It's not super important that this is perfectly lined up with the front of this because these two patterns don't quite match. There's a lot more shaping that happened on the green patterns than the black patterns. So this is the length of our spaghetti strap in the front. Same idea on the back. And for this, I'm just going to draw a line that goes from the shoulder dart to probably about there. Stop that. I don't know why I had to do so many extra anchors there. Okay. And so I did not line it up with the side back dart point, because this is a little bit lower, these two pattern pieces here. So now we can figure out what length of spaghetti strap, or you could make these into, I don't know, ribbons, or they could be fabric straps that are sewn together, as opposed to like the really skinny spaghetti straps, you know? They could be like bra straps. They should be adjustable. Adjustable makes the most sense for this, but I can grab these two pieces. Oh, and then I do need, so I don't know how to make you guys see it, but if I do window, document info, and then on the little drop down select objects, the document info window tells you the length of the objects that are selected. And so, of course, this is in points and not inches. Give me inches. Why does it not want to do? Okay, well, it's saying it's 773.808 points. And so that's annoying. How do I do? This, I think, is a preferences issue. So if you edit preferences, units, I don't want points. Whoever measures things in points? Ridiculous. Okay. Now we're back here. Okay, so this is 10 3/4 inches in the back and 7.15 inches in the front. In toto, we get 17 7/8 inch long straps. And so that would be with no adjustment. You know, so these would be the exact measurement of the straps that you would need. I, of course, would make them a lot longer. That way you can get some adjustment needed, you know, for people with taller shoulders, or, you know, whatever you want there. I'm not going to draft a sleeve for this one. I don't feel like it. Anyway, so now this insert is probably just like a gathered rectangle on the side. Let's zoom in here, and it goes across. It almost looks like there is no side seam to this dress, which is very interesting. Okay, so with that in mind, I'm going to grab these. Actually, I'm going to cut these using my favorite C-snipping tool, cutting the side back and the side front at the waistline. And I am going to glue these together. Well, not glue them, you know. Okay, reference image, go over there. And so because you don't have to worry about the shape happening below the skirt part of that, it's not going to matter. I'm just going to match these corners. You get the little white arrow when you've overlapped an anchor on another anchor, so it's really easy to see right there. Sometimes snap. Ugh. Gosh, that's the most annoying thing. It'll snap to other stuff, but not the thing I want it to snap to. There we go. Okay. And I'm going to put a guide between these two at this anchor point. I don't want to rotate them so that one matches. Well, let's see what happens first. Okay. We're going to rotate this to here. And then we're going to do the same thing to the front panel. And then, you know what, that's not terrible. I don't hate that at all. They don't quite match, which is interesting, but that means I should have walked my patterns better the last time I made this. But I think I'm just going to delete that one for now, and then I'm going to do a straight line here. Oh, well, straight-ish line. I'm going to get rid of, oh no, I can't get rid of that yet. Let's put a guideline there at the bottom of our pattern piece. I'm going to get rid of the center guideline so I can see what I'm doing. And then I think I'm going to delete So I did put an anchor directly below this one, so I'm going to get rid of that if it'll let me. Hello? There we go. Okay. And now I'm going to take this anchor and I'm just going to scoot it up until it matches like that. Perfect. And this I don't like, but I'm wondering how much it'll change. Ooh, see if I do it like that. Ooh. I mean, I guess that's not terrible. Yeah, no, I actually don't mind that. It's not the worst. Okay. Now I want to do the same thing. Move this out of the way. Actually going to click, drag, and join to make sure that my pieces are together so that I can add seam allowance to this later. I'm going to do the same thing to my skirt pieces to make one very flared skirt panel. So the only problem with doing this is that there is a chance that the fabric I would use for this is not going to be wide enough for this whole skirt panel, but let's find out how wide it does get. Grab this, swing that out here, grab this, swing that out there. You got yourself a pretty big, what looks like a circle skirt panel. Let's use if you click the eyedropper, you can get the measurement tool. I go from this anchor point to that anchor point, we get a width of something ridiculous, which I can't quite see. Let's move this down. That's a 44-inch wide skirt panel, which I think would be fine. It'll be hard to place them on the fabric in the right way. But I think if you're using a fabric that's like 60 inches wide, which I feel like most dress fabrics are that wide, then you should be fine making a panel this wide. So, looks like I really didn't walk my patterns last time. A little wonky there. I will fix that later. This I'm doing the same. I'm going to do the same thing I did up here. So I need to bring this guideline down here. We're going to just grab that straight across. Need handles because I want it to curve a little, and this one comes down, which is fine. And now I'm going to get rid of our center guideline here. And because, again, I drew that anchor right on top, or right above that anchor, I'm just going to use the subtract and get rid of all of that. And then I'm just moving this down until it matches there, which is a pretty extreme curve, but I think that'll give the best fit to the hip on the side there. It's very interesting. I've never done a pattern quite like this. Click, drag, and join. I don't like that at all, but I think I'll have to just run with it for now until I walk the pattern pieces. So to me, this looks like it would make a little more sense as the shape for the insert, but I think, how do I want to do this? I think I'll leave this as the underskirt, not the sheer part, side panel. And I think I'll just make this a wider gathered top line here to mimic this, the gathering that's happening here. Okay, but for now, what I want to do is get rid of all the extra pattern pieces I don't actually need. I do want to cut the shoulder dart, and this is just for my reference to remember how long my spaghetti straps will be. So I'm going to get rid of, I ungroup it. Did I not snip it? Oh, I did. Okay. So I'm going to get rid of that. Get rid of the fisheye dart that used to be there. And then on the front, same idea. And then I'm leaving these two black lines over here because those are my spaghetti strap length. And then this guideline can go away. So this is a very strange dress pattern, but I kind of love it. I was actually not terribly enthused about making it, but that's always the fun part, is like when I get started on something where I'm like, oh, this will be easy, or this will be totally boring. And then I start making it, I'm like, whoa, this is actually not totally boring. This is pretty rad. Okay, so again, matching up my anchor points. Where this time I'm walking the patterns to get that curve correct because something wonky happened. And so at each anchor point, there's a dip, which I hate. And so we're going to keep doing that. Figure out. Hello. Okay. God. To be like perfectly on for it to want to snap. Which defeats the purpose of a snap. Anyway. This shape got a little strange too. Oh, I guess we'll just match up. So this is another big problem when I just pull those anchor points straight down to get the shape. It's not quite correct, but that's why I still like to do my favorite circle option. So we're going to go with, what did I say? The skirt was 42 inches long from waist down, which means I need to draw a circle that is 84 plus the circumference plus the diameter of the waist circle, which is 7.95. So we're just going to tell it 84 plus 7.95 because I don't feel like doing math. So that's 91.95. All right, which looks huge, but I put the center right on. I could grab an anchor or a guideline, grab this, and move the center of this circle to here. Let me grab another one just so we can see what we're doing. We're going to make another circle that's just 7.95 by 7.95. That is our waist. Right, that's why this looks strange. That's why this circle looks way too big. Because what I wanted to do, what I should have done, was match it like this. And now our curve makes a little more sense. Okay, perfect. Now I'm just going to adjust my anchor points straight down. If you hold shift, the anchor points move in a straight line without going side to side. And I can match it to that. Looks like this one got way out here too. The only time shift and holding your anchor point doesn't work is when it's not on a right angle or a 45-degree angle, whatever, it depends on where you're going. But that's the same for a lot of the shift commands in Illustrator. If you don't hold down, or if it'll only snap to your 90s or your 45s, which can be frustrating, but like, nah, it's not too bad. I'm thinking what I just did was not right, probably. All right, let's rotate our pattern pieces here, because these waistlines don't actually match the circle like I want them to. So we're going to unclick this guy. Well, I'm not sure how I want to make this side bit match. Let's just keep rotating and see where it starts to go. Yeah, we're going to have to walk that along this line until we get to something. Okay, that works. I think I'm going to leave, even though this overlaps kind of a funny way, I'm going to leave. Maybe not. All right, let's walk this back a little bit. I just want to get the back in the right spot. The back can live there, but from here, so if I shift and click, then the back disappears from that selection. Let's go from here. I want to get this anchor point pretty well on the circle, like that. Okay, that makes me happier. Yeah, all right, this way we can get our skirt shapes a little more accurate to the skirt flare circle thing. I should probably think of a name for this technique, but naming things is hard. I have 5 pet fish, and I can't name any of them. I don't know why. It was never, I don't know. Do you guys have trouble naming things? Totally off topic, I know, but filling in some of the dead space of me drafting this pattern. Anyway, so I'm clicking and dragging my anchor points, making sure that the lines don't shift side to side as I go, matching up to skirt flare shape. Shift C gets you the curve thingy. Although, because this was already curved, I think it's throwing off the shaping it could have. So I'm going to turn these both into corners. It'll let me. Nope. All right. Because I don't want... What if I do it that way? Okay, if you drag your handles back, then your line becomes a straight line between those two shapes. Do Shift C again. Ah, see, that was way better. Okay. Best practice is make sure it's a straight line between your anchor points before you change the curve. We're going to just remove this anchor point if it will let me, but it won't because it's too far away. And that gets rid of that funky heart-shaped weirdness. Shift C again to zoom way out to see this one because this is a huge pattern. And yeah, it's pretty close. I don't want that to be... Yeah, no, I like that. That's pretty good. And then, just to stay consistent, I'm going to do this on all the pattern pieces that require hem curve. Brilliant. Okay. Man, I thought this was going to be a shorter video today. I thought wrong. That's okay. I'm going to group these two because that dash line is not connected to anything. And if I just click on the front pattern, wow, it'll move around, and I don't want to lose that dash line. That's my fold line for the fake bust lapel thingy that happens. And where did the waistline go? Let's throw a guide there. I want this. Pretty much just like split the diff. Yeah, close enough. That doesn't really, the placement of that isn't terribly important. This guy. Yeah. I can also just line this up to the edge of my artboard and get a straight line that way. Brilliant. Okay. Oops. I did not mean to take a screenshot. All right, that's okay. So now we have our pieces, and now I have to figure out how I want to do the skirt hip insert, which is a gathered, flared, sheer thing. And I really do think it's just going to be a copy of this pattern here. So I'm just going to Control-C, Control-V, and then I just need to add a lot of flare, truthfully. How do I want to do that? That's a good question. Let's snip our corner pieces here, and then let's snip the bottom edge here, because I want to edit these lines. I don't need to edit this or this yet. The bottom I'm never going to change. This I will change up here. Let's grab this, and I'm going to rotate this outward. By a lot. It depends on how gathered I want this to be. I think rule of thumb is to double it just to get, a nice gathered appearance. This little waistline is 6 7/8. And then if we do a similar shape pen tool, grab this corner, and then I'm going to do the same thing I did before, just to grab my shape. It's going to be really wild looking here. There we go, that's better. Because of how much has to come out of this to get this curve to fit the waist better. So now, this skirt waist length thing is 22, almost 23. So that's pretty good. I mean, the sheerer, the softer, the finer your fabric is, the more you can add to the waist without adding too much bulk, except for tulle because it's crunchy. But if you did like the lightest tissue chiffon thing, you could probably get 4 or 5 times the amount of your width there. But for our intents and purposes, 22 inches gathered down to 6 7/8 is plenty. So that was similar to the slash and spread techniques that you would do to add fullness to anything. This was just the quick and dirty version. I just rotated out the sides, and the lengths of our skirt and the width of our hem never changed. But the width here at the waist changed quite a bit. And that way it'll gather down and you'll have that really beautiful fullness there. So here's this just superimposed over the old pattern. You've got that much more fabric going into this waistline than before. Okay, so this is a huge pattern in general, but we're almost done. Now all I want to do is my favorite seam allowance addition. Oh, I forgot. Okay, there's an anchor floating in space. I have to zoom into this and figure out. I think I never connected these anchors here. There we go. And now for this, I'm going to ungroup it because if I do, then I'll get a weird seam allowance around that dashed line. But let's grab all of these and object, path, offset path, 0.5, preview. Yep, that means all of my patterns were, all my shapes were closed shapes and not just lines floating in space. I think that looks great. So for this one, I'm going to Control G to group. And for this one, I'll do the same. Control G. That one I'll do the same, Control G. But what I want to do, the front and back do not have a seam. As you can see, there's no center front or center back seams. So, since these patterns are so crazy and we're not probably going to be cutting these on the fold anyway, let's undo the seam allowance that I just added. And I'm going to transform, reflect vertical, and copy. And then put these there. Same thing with the back, transform, reflect, vertical, copy. Okay. I just want to make sure that these are all lined up the way that they should be. No. Click, drag, and join. Click, drag, and join. So one of my professors used to call, or used to tell us that the patterns that they would use industrially are never cut on fold, which I don't know how much I believe him, but in this case, there it is. Let's see, I think I need to do some rotating to get this to fit right. Let's rotate from here. I need to see all the way down to the bottom. Yeah. So we need to rotate this out until it matches this anchor right there. Okay. I'm happy with that. Now we're actually lined up. All right, so using that, I'm going to delete. And I think I'm also going to delete that line, even though there probably should be a slash line that goes down from the center front to here. So this front piece will require a facing that has the slashy line that goes from here to there. So I'm going to leave those there just so that you can see what's going on. Are there weird points there? Oh no, there's just crap on my screen. Ha! Alright, and then did I join? I don't remember if I joined the bottom pieces here. Nope. Okay. Alright, so now we have on the fold, object, path, offset path. Yep, and they're completed. Good to go. So I'm leaving these on here just to see. We've got 2 fold lines and 1 slash line, so you can make that lapel. Here's our funky side panel, and I think for a lot of vintage dresses have a zipper on the side seam, but since we don't have a side seam, we're doing panels. Really, you could put the zipper wherever you felt like it. I think it would make the most sense to have it side back. It's tough though. I don't wear dresses because I'm a dude, so I'm not really sure where would be the most comfortable place to put that. But yeah, so a zipper on this line would be weird. A zipper here would be fine. You could also ignore the drawing and put a center back seam to have a center back zipper there. That would be fine too. But otherwise, here we are, done with our pattern, which is wild. It's very big. So you've got your center front, your side skirt, your center back, and your gathered skirt overlay. And then the 3 lines I saved to figure out how long our spaghetti strap would need to be, which if we're feeling fancy, let's see, it's 17, let's just call it 18 inches. 18 inches by, if we're doing, the way that I like to do spaghetti straps on a serger, we'll just do it an 18 inch by 1 inch strip. And then object path, offset path, give it some seam allowance. If I can figure out where I'm going, okay. 0.25 because we're using the serger. Okay, so there's our spaghetti strap for our interesting flared dressy thing. So, thanks for tuning in. Hope you all are doing well. If you like what you saw here, please hit that subscribe button. And let me know if you have any questions, comments, feedback. Do you have any ideas for another dress pattern? Give me something. Y'all have been very quiet. But I do appreciate you guys watching my videos. So, have a great week.